Greetings. This
Right.
is Septum Sen versus the world. I'm Septum Sen. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Right.
And we are here reporting on the Academy Awards. We had a big night last night. We all gathered around the TV. We all got ready to watch it and then realized the cable box wasn't working. So upstairs in the kitchen, we watched the rest of it.
Good to be prepared.
So,
Although luckily you had backups.
yes, I did have backups.
Yes.
In this day and age, very few houses have only one cable box, which is good because we would be not watching it.
Yeah. I don't have any.
So, with that being said, we had some good surprises. I wanted to get this video up quickly, and since we both work on Mondays, and I want to get this up on Monday, there won't be any edits on this one. Just, unfortunately, just have to deal with us.
Yeah.
But we had a big night, and I'm just going to read the winners. But first, a couple basic pieces. I think you had something to say about the in memoriam. I figure might as well get that.
Oh, we're going to lead with that?
Might as well start with that.
Well, okay. Well, let's go ahead and lead with the one of the downers of the evening then. In memoriam is one of those parts that just like the show itself, every year people love to criticize the in memoriam because every year Oscar drops the ball and they leave people off who should have been on there. And this year was weird because it was a little later than usual, so it was a little later in the season. And last year they included people, I believe, if memory serves, Bill Paxton died like the week before the Oscars.
Wow.
And he was included in last year's in memoriam.
So the guy from MASH should have been included then.
What's that?
The guy from MASH should have been included.
Well, okay, so this is what my immediate reaction was. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam did a perfectly serviceable rendition of Tom Petty's Room at the Top, which is a really nice song. It's a good Petty song. It was a good memorial song. And they did say right up front that Tom Petty was lost to us last year. And they didn't show him in the video. They're singing his song, and they didn't even put a picture up. So that was a big... So I give him partial credit. The other one I'll get to in just a minute. Today I started trying to think of who all they missed. And this list, you'll find that I missed a few, partly because I don't want to go overboard with the musicians. They did include Chuck Berry, and they did include a couple of the others, but some of the musicians who died last year, like Fats Domino, I'm not sure how directly they were related to the movies, and a lot of them were more tangentially related. I wanted to get infuriated that they left off Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington, since they were already each robbed of an Oscar, but they were not like major parts of film. But musician-wise, two big ones, who were at least big TV stars, were Mel Tillis and Della Reese. Some people are going to be furious that Della Reese is left off. But the big one, this one, he was up for an Oscar 2 years ago for a film about his life. He was in an iconic role in an iconic movie. But no mention of Glenn Campbell. That was a big gaffe. Some of the others that I thought I would mention, David Cassidy. That was a big surprise that they left off. I'm almost certain they left off Jean Moreau, a French actress who was in Jules et Jim, and a ton of other big... Well, they did have some big French... Yeah. She's big, though. Jim Nabors, our old buddy Gomer Pyle, was left off the list. Heather North, who voiced Daphne on Scooby-Doo. You know. Jay Thomas, who recently had a role on Ray Donovan, but I know him best as lovable Eddie LeBec from Cheers. He was left off. Robert Hardy, who played Cornelius Fudge in the Harry Potter films. Nelson Ellis, who played Lafayette in True Blood. Nigel Nyquist from the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. Stephen Furst, who played Flounder on Animal House. Peter Sallis, freaking Wallace of Wallace and Gromit. I can't believe the Academy forgot him.
Yeah,
they love Wallace and Gromit. Powers Booth, big character actor. Michael Parks, same thing. Charlie Murphy, Eddie's little brother of Dave Chappelle Show fame, you know? And Chuck Barris. I guess they figured Chuck Berry sounded enough like him. Sam Rockwell, our newly minted actor. Well, we'll get to him in a minute, but he played Chuck Barris in a pretty good movie back in the day. The one that jumped immediately to mind, I admit this is a niche one, but I'm a big fan of Hiro Mitsuru. She is the voice of Ukyo Kuonji, my favorite anime character of all from Ranma and Half. And this is the big thing. She played Bulma in Dragon Ball.
What she's best known for.
She's best known for playing Bulma. Huge role. They had the guy who wore the suit in the Godzilla films, but they didn't have the voice of Bulma. But these two are these take the cake. These are the two that infuriated me when I learned what the hell, Oscars.
Yeah.
John Mahoney. Martin Crane from Frasier. He was in The Hudsucker Proxy, Barton Fink, Primal Fear. She's the One, a Tom Petty movie, but by the way. Completely left him off. And Adam West.
That is weird.
How in the hell did the Academy forget Adam West?
He never did anything.
Nothing at all. Never. No. That's a niche character there. Yeah, so anyway, hopefully I got all the good ones they left off. Except, again, some of the musicians, I'll grant you, there were a lot of major musician deaths last year.
Yeah, but that can be excused.
But that can be excused.
Film,
and maybe some of the more TV-oriented ones, maybe. But they pull some really obscure people for that in memoriam. So it's like... But still, for Adam West, Glenn Campbell, John Mahoney, shame on you, Academy. Yeah. But they did get some good people on there. And, they used a Tom Petty soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So, I'll give them that.
So if you, the viewer, all three of you, if you can think of some people who died, who should have gotten in a memoriam, put it in the comments. And we will read those comments, and next week during the pickups, we will add those to our list of people. Yeah.
And unfortunately, because we're not doing edits, we couldn't put up pictures of each of them. It would have been nice, but
that's just time.
Yeah.
That Oscar video took 5 hours worth of editing. I know it doesn't look it. But, let's go ahead and get started with our analysis. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to continue with our friendly competition to see how we did on this. We'll start with, I'll just go ahead and start just to lead this off. Okay. I'll list the two that were, the one or two that we actually chose, and then see who won, and then our thoughts on that. So we'll start with visual effects like we did. We're just going to do in the same order last time. And the two that were chosen, Kotobuki Jake chose Blade Runner 2049. No, he chose the original Blade Runner. That was where.
Obviously.
And I chose War for the Planet of the Apes. The winner is Blade Runner 2049.
I should have put money on that because that was probably my longest odd pick that actually won.
It's like everything I read was like War for the Planet of the Apes. That was the one, and that just blew my mind. Anything else to say really on that? I mean, I haven't seen either movie, so I can't really say.
Well, I haven't seen any of the recent Planet of the Apes ones, but I have heard people swear up and down that they're phenomenal effects-wise. I've actually seen every other one in this category, and Blade Runner is one of the stronger ones effects-wise. I'm not sure it's necessarily head and shoulders above all the rest. Yeah. I actually was expecting something a little more earth-shattering based on what I'd heard about it. But as we explained in our original video, I'd heard so much good stuff about both of these movies. But my gut feeling was Blade Runner. And again, it was the one time where I went with my gut that proved right.
All right.
So that was good.
So, next one. Not a lot of our guesses for this one.
No. I think everyone was in agreement that it would be Phantom Thread, and it was Phantom Thread. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
costume design, by the way. Yeah.
That was what that whole thing was about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really don't think there was a need for anything else other than maybe Beauty and the Beast probably deserved a little bit of a nod, but it was.
I mean,
They all were good.
They were all good.
So,
I have not seen Victoria and Abdul or Phantom Thread, but the stills and the short scenes I've seen, the costumes in both. But again, but Darkest Hour and Shape of Water were both all about, and I think Phantom Thread were all about period costuming. Really, all of them were.
Yeah.
And period costuming. The Academy loves period costuming.
But,
they love it.
Phantom Thread, though, was all about the clothing.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was about the clothing.
Exactly.
So, makeup and hair.
Yeah.
Again, we were united in our decision there. Mm-hmm. So, Darkest Hour was our choice for that. That was one that was just hands down going to win.
Yeah.
I don't think you had any.
Not particularly,
Well,
and then for original song, again, we were all pretty much in agreement.
They had powerful performances.
They did. Night. And a note on this. I learned something today that made me very happy. First of all, yes, they were good performances, although I think it was Stand Up for Something, where they said something about, like, we got the great people on the stage, and there was no explanation of who these people were just standing on the stage. Yeah. And maybe we missed something, but it felt like we were missing something. But for Mystery of Love by Sufjan Stevens, first of all, that suit.
Yeah.
But one of my friends actually shamed me by pointing out before I could, hey, that's Chris Thiele. Although I think she mispronounced his name. But anyway, I was like, holy crap, you're right. And off to the right of him was Chris Thiele of Nickel Creek playing his little mandolin. And behind them was a woman who garnered lots of commentary, but no one fully recognized. And today I found out that it's the front person for St. Vincent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow. So we have a collaboration between Sufjan Stevens, St. Vincent, and Chris Thiele. That is awesome. I love that. I love the song is great to begin with. So I love that they all collaborated together. It's a shame that all the songs were pared down. None of them were the full song.
Yeah.
That was a shame. But they were good performances. They didn't feel truncated the way they usually do, which is good. So, but again, I think everyone, at least with us and most of our sources, were like, it's going to be Remember Me, Remember Me. And in the end, it was. Some of the people we were watching with were surprised, but we were like, no.
So, as far as that, Remember Me was the winner. Mm-hmm. That was the one we both decided on. Mm-hmm. Though I thought it was the weakest performance of that night. It was like the first one. I know it was meant to be heartfelt, probably, but he really. It felt like he wasn't even in it when he was singing it.
They kind of combined. Remember Me is featured, I think, 4 times in the film.
Yeah.
There's snatches of it several times, but it's really featured 4 times. And the first time is the big showpiece production number that you showed in the video with the De La Cruz doing the big, which was right before his untimely demise. And then later on you get the ballad, the lullaby version that the actual author does with his daughter.
Yeah.
And then you get the pop version over the end. They tried to combine those 3. They had the Gael Garcia Bernal came out and sang the ballad version. And that was the part that was weak.
That was weak.
He is a great actor and a tolerable singer, but he could have been better. Yeah. But then they tried to use the backdrop of the first part to do the pop version. And the pop version of the song is great.
That was great.
It's just,
But they didn't drop the bell on the guy.
I know, man. There might have been a liability issue with
maybe.
that.
So you've got, I believe... No, this is mine now.
Yeah.
Okay, so original score.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we both picked Shape of the Water, though I know Kotobuki Jake was really up for Star Wars winning.
Hell no.
But, especially with the rant in the background of the last one. But Shape of the Water was really, again, it's one of those that just was going to win.
And let me clarify, I'm not a Star Wars hater, but I'm also not a Star Wars fanatic. Which is why I was able to watch The Last Jedi without getting pissed off like some people did.
And you're willing to take the same theme and realize
but I am not willing to call the same theme original because it's not. I think John Williams changes up 2 or 3 of the tracks for each score. And I have looked into the bylaws. I've tried to explain to myself why wonderful original music like Ghost World and Slow West and Moonrise Kingdom was not eligible in this category, and yet Star Wars is every time. Why, Academy? Why? But Shape of Water is great. The score is phenomenal, and it fits the movie perfectly and really does elevate it as a good score is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful score. And it was one of the ones that I was like, yeah, Shape of Water is going to get a few awards. And that was the one where it was going to definitely get it. One of them where it was going to definitely.
So speaking of Shape of Water.
Production design. We both called Shape of Water. I was less confident of it for this category, but after seeing the movie, yeah, the production design's pretty solid. I mean, it's a very well put together movie, definitely. I still think some of these others. Oh wow, I have seen that whole category. They all have great production design, but no, Shape of Water definitely deserved it.
All right, so we finished page 1.
Yeah.
And so far, Kotobuki Jake has me one up on me on this
if
one.
If only we could have kept those stats.
So we'll see how we go through here. Again, my system was very new this year, trying something totally different. Kotobuki Jake is actually, to me, he knows how these people think. So it's kind of like 2 different methods being utilized, and we're going to see how this turns out. So sound mixing. Now, we actually differed on this one. And it seems like we were pretty much on the same page for most of the original one. And Kotobuki Jake picked Baby Driver, and I picked Dunkirk. And then why don't I go ahead and do sound editing because it's the same stuff. Yeah. And for sound editing, we both picked Dunkirk.
Well, not the same, but yeah.
Well, they're both the same nominees.
And if you watch the video, you'll recall my justification was primarily that Baby Driver was big on incorporating music into the actual fabric of the sound of the movie. And that is something I want to see acknowledged more at the Oscars.
Unfortunately, not this time.
Unfortunately, they did with the nomination. I knew that was going out on a limb. I knew Dunkirk was the safe bet, and I did call Dunkirk as a possible win. But I knew I was going out on a limb, and he did get me on that one. Though, editing was Dunkirk all the way. There was no question.
Dunkirk in both categories. He just kind of did it. And speaking of, go ahead for film editing.
Sorry. Dunkirk.
Well, I think that was the category neither one of us thought was going anywhere else. I mean, film editing really is his...
Chris Nolan's films are masterfully edited. That is their bread and butter.
Even Chris Nolan's worst films, the best thing about his worst films are his editing. I have not seen The Following, though. And
he could have edited 3/4 of that movie out and I wouldn't have missed it.
But yeah, there's not much to say as much about film editing. Yeah. We both knew that.
Dunkirk, they trying to combine 3 different timelines. That requires surefire editing. And he managed to do it in a way that didn't seem sloppy and overly chaotic. Like he was trying for chaos because war, but he managed to do it in a way that didn't look like a film school reject, which it easily could have.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it was a good effort. It was excellent effort.
Yeah.
So, best foreign language film, Kotobuki chose Chile's A Fantastic Woman. I chose Sweden's The Square. And alas, I failed. And A Fantastic Woman was the one that won. It was between those two. I'll admit, I chose the blatant art piece. You chose one that had a little bit more heart in it.
Supposedly, Fantastic Woman does.
I mean, again, not that I've seen either of these to tell you, but
yeah, I have not yet seen a single film in this damn category. Unfortunately, I have not yet. Incidentally, I just realized I've also seen all the sound nominees at this point. But anyway,
but none of the foreign feature.
None of the foreign features, but partly because they're just not widely available. And it's one reason why this category ticks me off. Now, the library does have The Square, and I have a hold on it.
I want to see that scene where the guy is barking and then
Yeah. Now, The Square is apparently a satire about the excess of modern art.
Yeah.
And A Fantastic Woman is a film about a transgender woman who's, if I understand correctly, I think she loses her partner and she has to deal with the fallout from the family and everything. And so that sort of thing is thematically relevant and current. And both of them really are the kind of thing you would think the Oscars would go for. And there's a movie called BPM that wasn't even nominated. Those were the 3 foreign language films everyone was talking about before the Oscars. So I knew it would be one of the 2 that won. So it's nice that I'm up right now, but things are going to change. And then I guess it's my introduction on short, right?
Yep.
So the one short category where I still haven't seen a damn thing, the live action shorts. This was one that neither of us got right, although the one that won was my second pick. I had said DeKalb Elementary was a very strong contender, and you had said the 11 o'clock, which I had pointed out as the least likely to win. But it ended up going with my second pick, which was The Silent Child. And it ended up, we barely got to hear any of the acceptance speeches. Our group was a little loud. But it looked like it was a pretty nice speech. She actually signed to the girl that stars in the movie. The girl that stars in the movie actually is a deaf child. And supposedly it's a really, really good little movie. It's just you can't see live action shorts unless you go to art house theaters in New York or LA or...
I need to get a lot of money and do that stuff.
Yeah.
You guys need to pick up on this and subscribe. Get us several million subscribers.
Nice.
And that way we can actually do these things. We'll go. Matter of fact, if you guys can get it to where we're making the bank on YouTube, we will go and we will film when we see those short films. We will go and we will take the camera and we will we'll do that.
I don't know that we want to say that on this channel. We might get shut down if we say something like that.
Well, we're not going to film the short film. We'll film us going to the short films.
Okay.
But that was actually the first category where both of us missed the mark. It wasn't by a huge land for yourself, but it still was a miss on the mark. And speaking of a miss on the mark, the documentary short film, which we had seen, actually all but one.
Yeah. Well, you watched about a half of one of them, but I had seen 4. I watched. Right before the show started, I knocked out Heroin. He saw a little bit of it. This is the one category where even my second pick didn't win.
So Edith and Eddie was my pick, and I liked it because I thought love story, racial unity, things like that. I thought good things. For yours, it was heroin. We thought about the war on heroin, the epidemic, and all that stuff. And then it turns out it was Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405, which I'm not sad about that. No. I thought it was really good. It turned out that, of course, I did not realize that the subject of the film died.
Which, interestingly enough, another person who was left off the in memoriam. Yes, the Mindy Alper, the artist. Heaven is a Traffic Jam was my third pick, but technically, I had picked Edith and Eddie as the also. I mean, we were both genuinely surprised by the way that one turned out. That was
weird. So, second page, Kotobuki Jake 2, me 1. But we'll keep going and see.
And
next one is yours.
Yeah. Okay, so documentary feature. This is the one we both missed.
You know what?
Big time.
This is 3 in a row where we both...
Well, this was... Okay, there were exactly 2 awards that I called with certainty that I missed. One of them was DeKalb Elementary. The other one was Faces Places to win documentary feature. We had both gone with that.
We were both united on that.
We both thought Icarus had a good shot, but we were still surprised when it won. And I am actually fairly annoyed that it won because it's a Netflix film, which means that without access to Netflix, I'm not going to get to see it for a long time. Maybe, but not likely. That one and Mudbound, I'm not going to get to see them for a long time, which is very annoying to me. But Icarus looks good. It is about the whole Russian doping scandal, which when you think about it, it was likely to win. It's just Faces Places had so much love behind it, so much support. Yeah, we ended up missing on that one.
So, next is cinematography, which they held pretty late in the Oscar ceremony.
Yeah.
It was the last technical I think they did, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
Not for us. Actually, I think it is our last technical, but we're not. So, I picked Blade Runner 2049, and you had picked Mudbound.
I went way out on a limb on that one.
So, it did turn out to be Blade Runner 2049. And, it makes sense for that one.
Yeah. And I personally am thrilled. I'm annoyed that I missed a point needlessly, because honestly I thought Blade Runner was more likely. But I figured with the whole Me Too thing and everything, the fact is a female cinematographer and Mudbound had so much support, I thought it might win something. Yeah. But it did end up getting shut out in the end, which... So that was a very soft vote on my part, but I'm thrilled Roger Deakins has won. He has done, this is his 14th nod. The guy has been nominated for Shawshank Redemption, Fargo, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, The Man Who Wasn't There, True Grit, Sicario, among others. This is a dude who makes a good film. And he could and should have won for one or more of those films.
Yeah.
I don't know that he really should have won for Blade Runner. It is not his strongest work. Yeah. But it's still good. It's still good. It's really good. It's well filmed. But mostly I'm just glad he finally got an award. But that was one that didn't necessarily go to the top contender this year. Yeah.
So... Your turn, actually, I believe.
Okay. Original screenplay. And we were surprised that some of the people with us were actually surprised by how this one turned out.
This was it wasn't obvious, but it really, to me...
In a way it was obvious, and in a way it wasn't.
Yeah.
The Academy did spread the wealth this year. There wasn't really a strong sweep from anyone. Dunkirk pulled 3 of the technical categories. A couple of them did get multiple wins, but nothing really swept anything. And I had felt all along that they were going to give Jordan Peele the Get Out screenplay.
Well, they had to give him something.
They had to give Get Out something. And it is a very well-written screenplay, and it's much safer than director.
See, and there are some people who are really upset that Get Out didn't sweep the awards that it nominated for. But to me, you gotta look at this out of a political lens, and look at it as in a technical lens, in a sense. The fact you gotta look. Well, actually, you do have to look at. You have to really look at it in a political
because it's a so-called genre film.
It's it's more than just race in this particular. This the fact that it won is a huge thing. The fact that it was nominated so many times was a huge thing. This is actually a win in this category, in my opinion, for any of this. Just the nominations alone are, in my opinion, a big win. So this was a great thing in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you take race out of it and just look. Get Out is technically a horror film.
Yeah.
And it's also, in many ways, a comedy. It is a satire, which means it's a dark comedy, but it is a comedy and a horror film. The last time a horror film won Best Picture was Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
And I don't think there may be a couple since then.
Exorcist didn't win Best Picture.
No, it didn't.
But
that was long ago.
Yeah,
I mean, recent.
Recent,
no. Recent almost
Silence
never.
of the Lambs isn't recent.
Yeah, I know. And but that's the thing. Horror never gets Best Picture love,
No.
and it rarely gets screenplay nods. You can make the argument that Ex Machina was sort of a horror sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
That was up for screenplay. But it rarely happens. And comedy doesn't get much. If you look here, The Big Sick is considered a comedy. Lady Bird's considered a comedy. And The Shape of Three Billboards is funny, but it's considered a drama. So this year was a little stronger on comedy than usual.
Yeah.
But Big Sick had no shot in hell of most of the other categories because it's a comedy. And, you look at the adapted category, I think Disaster Artist is the only one you could call a comedy there.
Yeah. It's rare when you see these things. I mean, Logan's a comic book movie, for goodness sake.
It's not a comedy.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
definitely not a comedy.
Now,
But,
I still say Thor should have been nominated for screenplay and director. It got gypped.
And thinking of adapted screenplay, we both called Call Me By Your Name. It's the only one that got nominated for, wasn't it?
It was the only one up for Best Picture.
And that's kind of weird, but that was the only one it was going to get, and I was glad that I chose it and went with it. I read a lot of stuff on it, and you had already gotten good feelings on it.
If I had known, I didn't realize that James Ivory's never won an Oscar. If I had known that, I would have definitely said this one. Don't even look at the other nominees. James Ivory is a huge force in Hollywood. And this may be his last. I mean, you could see he was old. I mean, no offense to James Ivory, but how many more movies is he going to be involved in? And I would have loved to see Logan, if only so that genre films would win both of these categories.
Oh, yeah.
But that wouldn't have happened. Just the fact that we got a comic book movie for the first time ever nominated for screenplay, that's cool. Animated short. This was another one where I will admit I had I had more difficulty calling animated short than the other ones.
You had the better choice than I did.
I went with Garden Party because I wasn't sure if there was a clear winner, and I thought it was gorgeous. And it was really well animated and very interesting and creative and different.
It was beautiful.
Dear Basketball was your pick.
Yep.
And I thought it had a pretty fair shot, but I thought it was too rough. It was too it just... But I guess the Academy just liked that.
Kobe wins an Oscar.
Exactly. Kobe Bryant, Oscar winner. But now this was a year where a lot of new faces won Oscars. And some of them were people we've been expecting. Some were not. We've already mentioned a few. Roger Deakins got his first one. James Ivory got his first one. Jordan Peele got his first one. And Kobe Bryant.
See, for me, I actually, before I even saw it, all the buzz that I read pointed to Dear Basketball. And when I did see it, it just nailed it home to me. It's like, this is going to win. I mean, for those of you who did see the clip that I threw in there, if you hadn't, go watch the nomination predictions. It was phenomenal. I've actually put all of the predictions in a special list. I'll talk about that at the end. But to me, it really is. It's about doing something that that nobody else could. About saying, I'm going to be that I'm going to reach for that dream. I'm going to grab that dream. Race what is not going to stop me. Situation is not going to stop me. I want it. I am going to get it.
Like a budget for animation is not going to stop me.
Yeah. Well, it's more of the circumstances around it. It's the subjects around it. It's the writing around it.
Yeah.
That's what hit it. I do agree, though. Garden Party to me was the choice. If it was the one I liked the most, I would have gone with Garden Party, then followed by Lou.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that one and Negative Space that were my two thoughts. But Dear Basketball was by far to me.
And we did finally get to see Revolting Rhymes right before the show, and it was pretty interesting, but the art just wasn't there. They could have done so much better with the visuals.
I felt like it was the weakest of the category.
But I do look forward to seeing part 2 whenever that comes out.
So animated feature. And again, there was no doubt in our minds. It was obvious. Boss Baby. No,
I knew you were going to say that.
But no, I mean, it was obvious. It was going to be Coco. There was nobody out there that was saying it wasn't going to be Coco. This was the easiest one to call. People who don't watch the Oscars knew Coco was going to win Best Animated Feature.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like we need to dwell on that one.
And yet your wife said it didn't seem surprised that I thought it should have been in Best Picture nominee.
So this takes our totals up. Kotobuki Jake has 2 on me. I have 3 now, thanks to that particular run. So we're moving along in our category.
Moving right along.
And you got director.
All right. So Best Director. Okay, this was one that was chock full of people who are overdue for Oscars, or at the very least have not been up for this one before. But in the end, I think everyone felt it was going to be Guillermo, and Guillermo del Toro has finally won an Oscar.
Yay!
And he is overdue for one. We had both called him for that. It was just
people that wanted it to go, and I think part of us wanted it to go to Lady Bird too. But
I wanted Lady Bird to get something. Unfortunately, and I'll go ahead and say this: one of my predictions came true that I did not want to come true. Lady Bird got shut out. I was so ticked about that, but I expected it because just the way things turned out. But anyway, so yeah, I would have loved. But Greta Gerwig and Jordan Peele they were their first films. First film almost never gets Best Director, and Chris Nolan is way overdue. But he has had
so
films.
Is Del Toro.
Yes, they both are way overdue, and. They finally Del Toro got one in 2 or 3 years. Nolan is going to put out another.
Don't be surprised if Nolan puts out a big one in the next couple of years and gets this type of thing.
He seems to do them about every 2 to 3 years. He has a big film, and sometimes he'll have a smaller one in the cracks. He's got another one in the wings. I'm sure of it.
All right, supporting actress. Again, one we were united on. Allison Janney, I, Tonya. Again, it was one of those things. I had said that, spoiler for Mary J. Blige. I think you said spoiler for Laurie
I thought Laurie Metcalf had a very good shot. She and Blige both have good acting credits to the resume, but it's a much lighter resume. Janney is a hard-working actress who has a huge resume. She is way overdue for Oscar love, and the Academy decided we're going to give it to her this year. And I don't think we were terribly surprised. And I think that ended up being I, Tonya's only win. But yeah. And unfortunately, Mudbound also ended up getting shut out. That was
which is sad because I have heard it is a very powerful film. I will have to watch it. I actually do have Netflix, but I never get to watch it. It's just there's no time.
Yeah, we got to watch the shorts because they're short. Revolting Rhymes, I think, was 30 minutes, and Heroin was 40.
Yeah.
So they actually, Heroin was the shortest of the documentary nominees I saw.
Could have watched Icarus or Mudbound instead.
If I'd been here, but I had to work.
Well, I mean, if instead of those two, because if you combine those two, you really had almost a full.
We just need to get another movie viewing day. Anyway, So, am I going?
Yep, you're go.
Okay.
Supporting actor.
So, supporting actor.
We were divided.
This is one where I let my gut win out over my head, and I lost. But he got it right. I said Willem Dafoe for the Florida Project because there was a lot of love for Willem Dafoe in the Florida Project. But there was also a fair bit of love and definitely a lot of support for Sam Rockwell in Three Billboards, which is what he picked. And Sam Rockwell got it. And just like Allison Janney, he is a beloved character actor who's been working for years, plugging away, putting in great role after great role. Way overdue for Oscar notice.
And the role was good. I mean, he played a complex character. I was surprised how it went. I thought it was going to go one way. It went entirely different.
A lot of people were ticked about how his character went. You know, they figured it was inappropriate given this climate. But I kind of liked it. I like the idea of a redemption arc. No matter, you know, some characters are beyond redemption. But, you know, he wasn't evil. He was just a moron. That's the thing. He was a moron. But, you know, I honestly thought Woody Harrelson did the better performance, but it was a much smaller role.
It was very small.
And Richard Jenkins was phenomenal in The Shape of Water. I have not yet gotten to see All the Money in the World. But of the bunch, honestly, Dafoe's role was weaker than any of the three that I just mentioned. So I have no problem with Rockwell winning. I kind of wish I had not gone with my gut on that category.
Though I do want to see the Florida Project.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah.
So, lead actress.
The ending kind of, yeah.
So again, we were united on lead actress, where we decided it was Frances McDormand, and sure enough, Frances McDormand. She gives a powerful performance. She plays a character. And believe it or not, in the original book, the character, or the character is a male. It's a man, according to what I have heard. The character that she plays is actually the father of the girl.
What are you talking about?
For Three Billboards, there is an original, this original thing it's based off of. Original story is based off of.
Well, then it wouldn't have been nominated for original screenplay. I had read that Martin McDonagh had seen some billboards in Georgia, and that's where he got the idea from it.
Well, yeah. Like I said, what was based off of?
So
not story, not like book, but the thing it was based off of.
Okay.
And it was a father of a daughter.
Okay.
And but I think the idea of changing it to a female character, one that had been been beaten in the past and stuff like that gives you a little bit more sympathy towards the character, and allowed you to move forward. But of course, the character was written in a way where it needed that extra sympathy, so that you could actually sit there and really try and plug for this character, even though you were conflicted the whole time. It just threw you through a lot.
She's not an easy person to love.
And her speech, she called for a diversity rider, which means basically a film has to have full diversity if I'm going to be in the contract. I really feel like that's not the way to go, but I mean, I'm going to be in the unpopular minority, but the idea is, I mean, that's just going to lead to to me, I worry about it leading to a quota system of saying, okay, we got to have X number. If this person, we got to have X number of this, X number of this, X number of this.
If certain actors want to do that, then more power to them. Yeah. But some stories just don't need diversity. It can tear down the integrity of the story.
Well,
but
I mean, imagine if Fences was required to have a quota of X number of Asian actors, X number.
Well, Fences, that was very much a small cast, though. But that if you're talking about just a general movie that's built from whole cloth. But this one, for example, I've read McDormand dithered on taking the role because she thought she was too old for the role, even though it was written for her. Yeah. She thought it would be not genuine for someone her age to have teenage children. And I'm thinking, if you're going to pay that much attention to the socioeconomic background of an area, don't necessarily call for full diversity for every single film, because that's kind of... But if you've got a film where it fits without cutting into, then go for it. We need more diversity.
Oh, I agree.
And there are films the so-called whitewashing effect. Y'all have heard my rants by now about how the overlooked Asians are. There have been a lot of instances in the last few years where they really dropped the ball on casting in Ghost in the Shell.
There's a way to example. There are ways that they should do this without trying to shoehorn it.
Yeah.
I mean, eliminate whitewashing. Yeah. That alone. Yeah. If this is a part that could go either way, give it a, shot.
Anyway.
Lead actor.
But anyway, best actor. We actually had a little bit of diversity in this particular role. And incidentally, let me say on actress real quick. I said in our previous video that Saoirse Ronan was phenomenal in Lady Bird. Mm-hmm. She is overdue for an Oscar, but she's also very young. And I think this is her third nomination, which for her age is impressive.
Oh, she's going to get one.
She's going to get one. She could have gotten it for this one. She could have gotten it for Brooklyn. One of these years, she will get one. Hopefully, it'll be one she deserves as much as those two. And Sally Hawkins was phenomenal in The Shape of Water. She nailed that one. And I have not. I know she was nominated for Blue Jasmine.
Yeah,
she was much better there than she was in Blue Jasmine. I will say that.
I need to see it still.
Yeah. So, but anyway, for actor, there was no question. Gary Oldman was going to win for Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did.
What do you know?
And another person who is vastly overdue. He had one nomination for one of the most boring films he's ever been in, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Yep. He has had some great roles over the years. He was great in The Contender. He was great in The Professional. He's had some great roles. He finally got one that really caught Oscar's attention. Yeah. And he nailed it. He did a great job. And he finally got his Oscar. So
sorry, Daniel Day-Lewis, but it just wasn't your year for that.
Yeah, and, so in 5 or 6 or 7 years when he comes out of retirement, he'll have another shot.
But, actually, when I think about it, Denzel is going to have to get a seat right next to Meryl Streep.
Well, maybe he'll get Jack Nicholson's old seat. I don't think he still comes to the show, does he?
I don't know. I mean,
I didn't see him. I didn't see him this year.
He's usually sitting there.
Yeah, he's right there in the front with his sunglasses on.
But the thought of I thought to myself, Meryl Streep must go to the same seat every year. Mm-hmm. They must have it laid out here. This is your honorary seat. You've been this thing almost how many nominations has she had?
I mean, she's a load bearing boss.
She's right there on the front row. Might as well put her name. I said they should put her plaque, a plaque with her name on it for that seat. So finally, the big one. So
next year she'll be sitting there for her nomination for Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
So Best Picture, we were divided in this one again. Kotobuki Jake went for I went for Shape of Water. Mm-hmm. You went for Three Billboards, and Shape of Water won. Mm-hmm. Which to me, it had a mini run. It didn't have a huge run, but it had some.
It ended up getting 4. 3 Billboards got 2. So I got the number right for 3 Billboards, but they were off a little bit. I knew when I called 3 Billboards to only win 2, and one of them being Best Picture, that was not very likely. Mm-hmm. Usually Best Picture wins at least 4 awards. There have been exceptions. Actually, if memory serves, I think the year that... No, I was going to say, the year that Del Toro's films did the best before was in Pan's Labyrinth got 3. That year, the Best Picture winner also got 4. That was The Departed. So, this year we had the Best Picture got 4, Dunkirk got 3, and I think, what was it, 3 Billboards, Darkest Hour, Coco, and Blade Runner, I think, were the 2 Tom winners. Yeah. And then you had a few that got 1. So they did spread the wealth pretty decently. Not as much as I had expected, but pretty decently. I have to say, now that I've seen Shape of Water, I do like 3 Billboards slightly better, but it's close. They're both great films. It's really hard to say which one I like better because it's real hard to compare the two. It
and
really
both of them got a good amount
Yeah.
of love, but this was Del Toro's year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if for those of you who are keeping count, I'm glad because I stopped counting.
By
but,
my count, I ended up with 16 correct and 8 wrong, which means I got exactly 2/3 right. I should have done better. I think he got 2 more correct than I did.
I got 19
So,
correct
yeah,
and 5
3
wrong.
more than I. Yeah.
And so but that shows, my method was worthwhile this year.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I usually really screw up. And
So if you want to put down money, then read all the
just read
magazines.
50 periodicals,
Exactly.
and you'll be good to go.
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to do that again next year, but at least I can show that studying, that the research method pays off.
Yeah.
The scientific method does work.
Although, as you see, even my method was reasonably good. It's not enough to gamble on necessarily, but then again, I probably could have made enough off of the visual effects to cancel out some of the losses.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and a lot of the ones that you ended up messing up on were ones that you had a good feeling that it was going to go to the one that won. It's just you wanted to say, this is the one I want.
I'm really good at getting it down to 2.
Yeah,
I'm really good at that.
you
But,
see, you've trusted that extra feeling for that first one, and then you just let it go. And it's like,
So I am well aware that those of you who are still watching, you're probably not feeling this as much as those that tuned out at the 20-minute mark and just went away screaming, "Nerd."
Yeah, well, this is the last of our super long of these videos. Next week, we will be doing something completely different.
Yes.
So stay tuned
Good
to our
times.
pickup videos to find out.
Yeah.
We will see you on the next one.